Well, when you're not careful in the woods, you might find yourself distracted or something happens and you end up with an injury. When you're walking around searching for cell signal, you still need to keep your eye on the ground so that you're aware of potential obstacles that could lead to a trip and a fall and an injury. I've sprained my ankle. Now, what am I going to do? First thing is, let's just figure out what's going on and how we can manage this. All right, so first thing you want to do is you want to assess the resources you have available to you when you have an injury like this. So the scenario is I just tripped over this rock while I was searching for cell signal, and now I have an ankle sprain. I've got miles to go to get back to home, back to my car. So I have a pack with me, and I have a first aid kit. I always try to be prepared. So I have this first aid kit that I got at a conference. I work in healthcare, and you know, it's a pretty decent little kit. It's got some different bandages. The thing in here that might be most useful for me is this triangular bandage. That's something back in Boy Scouts. They teach you how to use a triangle bandage for all kinds of different injuries. But I want to keep that fresh and usable for a real scenario versus a trial run here. This bandage might be helpful. It could provide a little support. What I'm going to do though is I generally always have an extra first aid kit with me, just because, as I said, I work in healthcare and I tend to overstock on my supplies. So in here I have different things. I've got some different types of bandages that I could use if I had a serious injury, had to stop some bleeding or something, some other things. But what I'm after in here is this. It's called Coflex or Coban, and it's going to help us out in this scenario, okay? So let's get this tucked back in here. And before we actually work on bandaging me up, let's talk about a few scenarios, okay? So what can happen is that the most common type of ankle injury, and I'll probably put a little diagram in to help you understand, but your ankle has 4 main ligaments that support it. One on this inside edge that we rarely injure. It's so big and thick and strong. On this outside of the ankle, we have 3 ligaments. And the most commonly injured of those is right here across the front. As you can see, tripping over a rock, it would cause my foot to kind of bend out and down and put a stretch on that ligament. So that's the most common area you're going to find for an ankle sprain. But it could be any one of these 3 along this outer edge versus this inner. If you get a really bad sprain, you could get all of them, and you're in pretty sad shape at that point. So the first thing that I would do when treating an ankle sprain is, number 1, don't necessarily remove the shoe or the boot, because they can provide some support. If you have a significant ankle injury, you are going to get some swelling, and if your foot swells to the point where you can no longer get it back into your boot or shoe, you have a problem. So instead, in an emergent situation like this where you're out in the woods, leaving your shoe on, and you can see here, I'm out hiking around and my shoelaces are pretty loose. So first thing I would do, so that is more secure. And you know, honestly, it's always a little harder to work on your foot and ankle alone. Hopefully you're out hiking with somebody and they can help you out with this. But at this point, we're going to take the roll of Coflex. This one is a little bit older, but it should still work just fine. And okay. All right, with the Coflex, once you find your end, and this is an older roll, so it's being a little stubborn. It's probably a good time to use it as an example here. But okay, so what we're after is, as I said, leave the shoe on or boot on if you can, and it will help to control some of that swelling that you might see with a serious ankle sprain. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go for a technique. It's called a figure 8. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to just come down below my shoe here and come up and around. And the idea here is that this is going to provide support for my ankle. You don't want to go too tight, but that's the nice thing about this bandage material, is that it kind of prevents you from going too tight because it has a little flexibility to it. Just like so. When you get old and inflexible like me, this makes it harder to do on yourself, but all right. And that point, we're kind of at the end of the roll, so we'll just go ahead and stop it there. There. Now, as you can see, I've got that support around this side. And that's going to help to stabilize my foot. Oh. So I can stand on it and hopefully be able to walk out just like that. And the other thing about it is watch where you step. Accidents happen, but be thoughtful about where you're standing. And that will help to get you back to where you need to go, and you can get some better medical attention if needed. All right, you can see there kind of how it ends up. And that gives some support and will help to provide some compression for any swelling that comes on. Now this is out in the wilderness. It's a first aid that you're going to be able to provide yourself or somebody that you're with to help them get back to safety. Obviously, if you're at home, you can maybe treat this a little bit differently. But out here in the woods, being able to take care of yourself like this could be the difference of being able to get out on your own or having to call in search and rescue to come and help you out. Just that much tape, I can feel the support that it's providing. And if I were in a bad situation and this weren't an actual scenario, that's the approach I would take to be able to help me get out. Now, you might, in addition to that, you might need a walking stick or something to help you. So take a look around at your resources. Here's an area where there's an aspen tree that's down that I could probably clean that up and maybe make a walking stick that would help me take a little pressure off of the injury so that I can get back home. So, first aid tip of the day, how do you treat a sprained ankle? Thanks for watching.